Well, hello everyone. The microphone is in the other place, so we're going to use the laptop audio, but we're going to do the video anyway. So basically this video is going to utterly demolish the lie that the Slavs come from somewhere in Russia or something like that, and then Germans always occupied all Germany. No, they come from offshore because it's the only way it makes sense. In finance, which I'm doing at the moment, a deal has to make sense. In this case, the deal only makes sense if the Slavs were indigenous to Germany and the Germans come from some doggerland or something like that. Okay, so let's get into it. And if we look at the article on slaves, which is, everyone knows where you only find one. Okay, it's all about other slaves. But anyway, this is apparently where the word Slav comes from, because the Byzantines were obsessed with, not only were they obsessed with owning a eunuch, but they were also obsessed with having a slave. And why would they be obsessed with having a slave? We'll get into that. Firstly, the slaves were very tall. They were very strong people, and they wanted a good, strong person to do all the work for them, so they could just sit back, live like a king, and drink whatever the Greeks drink. I'm not quite sure what they drink. Okay, so let's get into it. And we're going to prove these Slavs are indigenous to Germany, and this is why they used the Germans used them, the Romans used them as servants. And when you look at the map, it really talks about everything. It says the first use of the word Slav is from the 6th century AD. That is absolutely, not only is incorrect, it's ignorant. It's stupid. The word goes back to classical Roman times, but Westerners don't know how to pronounce it because the Eastern alphabets have more letters. So you put more letters into less letters, you can't pronounce it properly. Okay, so what's actually happening is, in the Slav languages, such as Polish, there is a soft L. The soft L is pronounced like a W, and the soft L is in the word Slav, so it is pronounced Swavi. And that is how it is pronounced. And once you accept that the Swavi existed, suddenly things like Slovenia, it's Slovenia, Slovenes. And this is how things are pronounced. In the nominee Yasser website, yasser.org, which is very good website. I'm not sure who runs it. I think it's some academic somewhere, but he actually writes it correctly in English. Slavs. That is how it is written. And if you accept it is written that way, guess what? All of the Swavi Germans suddenly become Slavs. The Slavi Germans are all the red and the purple. And you're going to say, Charles, this is impossible because I didn't read this on Wikipedia and I didn't read this in an encyclopedia. So how could it possibly be true? And I'm saying, look, these people who are telling you things, firstly, they don't understand how words are pronounced in the East. Secondly, they only learned things from ignorant people, and then they took it as gospel. Now, why would all the normal German tribes be cramped up here in the Netherlands, in Holland? Why would that be? And the only reason that is so is because their land must have sunk, and they must be refugees from a sunken land. And this backs up what Plato was saying. There's a sunken land somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean, which is basically that, you see. So it all starts to tie together. It all starts to make sense. And you're going to say, Charles, it doesn't make sense because I don't have Dr. Koss to tell me these things before. But now I do, so it makes sense. So let's continue. So what I did, so everyone says, oh, no, the Slavs invaded. The Slavs invaded Germany. They snuck into Germany while the Germans were busy attacking the Romans at the end of the Roman Empire. So what I did a little experiment. Okay, I'll Google this great invasion, Slav invasion. Slav migrations to the Balkans, that's all it finds. So the Slavs went south at some time. And this is all it says. Now, I think the Slavs are the Swavi, so they occupied up to here in ancient times, and that it was actually the line between the Slavs and the Germans 1,000 years ago. So, okay, what's going on? Yes, they may have gone into the Balkans. Yes, that could be true. Yes, maybe. Or maybe they were always there. I don't know, because everything that we are being taught is a little bit skewed towards a certain point of view. So I'm not sure about this. But here's the thing. let's assume there was a Slav invasion to the south. I'm prepared to accept that because that's never something that I've opposed. But then people say, oh, well, there must be the same invasion as towards the west. It must be the same time. It must have happened at the same time. Oh, maybe they went there as well. Oh, maybe, No, because this invasion to the west never happened and there is no record of it in history. And they are mixing it up with this invasion to the south. Why? Because humans have tunnel vision and they mix everything into one thing, right? I'm saying the Slavs were always in Germany. They're indigenous to Germany. And these people hopped off their island and they were the Germans. And, it just goes on and on and on. And you're going to say, Charles, it's rubbish. The Suebi were Germans. Well, no, they weren't, because the kingdom of the Suebi are the Portuguese, and the Portuguese have a Slav, Polish, Russian accent. If they were Germans, they would have a German accent. And that is some of the most direct evidence I can give you. And look when they took over. Look at that. You see, it's just unbelievable, right? So there you go. The Suebi, you can see straight away from the accent, it's Polish-German accent. And that is direct evidence. We made a video on that. And if you want to say, no, it was a German accent, well, you can't, because it isn't. And then you look at the DNA, the Vandal DNA. The Poles are very closely related to the Vandals. We looked at a previous video of Stilikov. It's a Polish name. It's not a German name. But they say he's a German. He was a German leader of Rome. It's so interesting. A German general of late Rome who tried to resist the other Germans. Is everyone a German? Is everyone attacking? This is human tunnel vision. Is everyone who was attacking Rome has to be a German because human tunnel vision says so? It's as simple as that. It's just good. And then I've got more evidence for you because it doesn't stop there. Once you have the evidence, once you have the truth, the evidence comes in like a tidal wave, just crashing down, you see, and it just keeps coming. Okay, we're going into the red with the volume. I'll just turn it down a notch. We'll just turn that down a notch so I can talk louder. Okay, so I'm so excited. I'm really excited, guys. So it gets better, because if the word Slav calls the word slave, what about the word servant? Because servant is the classical Roman usage, the usage of the Romans inside the original Roman Empire. And they didn't use the word slave, they used the word servant for slave. And the word servant is the same as the word Serb. It's just fascinating. It's just unbelievable. So we know in the Germans actually say Serb, well, some of the Germans, they say Servus for goodbye. And it's the same in English as saying, I'm your humble servant at the end of the old letters. They always write, I'm your humble servant. They're saying service, I'm your servant. Bye-bye. It's like, servant, come here. Servant, hello, servant. It may have even evolved out of a bit of a joke. And the word Servus is just unbelievable. So Serbia, we know that it says here, Serbia's people are among the tallest in the world. So they would have said, oh, we want a servant. So we want someone very tall who can work very hard. And you're going to say, Charles, but they're in Serbia, and Serbia didn't exist. Well, of course it didn't exist, because they come from East Germany. Serbia was East Germany. Croatia was around Krakow in southern Poland. That is where they apparently come from. So the Serbs are East Germans. And if the East Germans were not in Serbia, if the Serbs were not in Serbia, if they were not in East Germany, well, how did the Romans get a hold of these people in the first place? So this shows that the Romans had direct access to the Serbs, because where did they get this word Servus? And look, you're going to say Servus isn't Serb because the V is different. Well, no, it's not, because they actually say Servus as in Croatian, it's spelled Servus. The V and B are very similar. You see? This is just how it is. And it goes on and on and on. We're looking at gladiators. You'd want the tall, strong men to be gladiators. Well, guess what? Radan, that's a Serbian name. Rodan. Unbelievable. I reckon this one here, Astius, is also a Slav name. I'm not quite sure about what the other names. I'm not Asiakus. I'm not quite sure about that. It's a bit strange to me. Just fascinating. Just amazing. There was actually, in the gladiator mosaics of Rome, there was another one here. Mojikinus, very Slav name. Very much so. And it's just like the Romans collected giraffes and elephants to fight in the amphitheater. It's much the same thing. They collected all the exotic species to fight in the amphitheater for them. Just amazing. Anyway, guys, I hope you've really enjoyed this video. Proof that the Serbs, the Slavs, were in classical Germany, in ancient Rome. We've shown that. You look at the map of where the Suebi were. You look at the map of the kingdom of the Suebi. They have the Russian-Polish accent in Portugal. This is not evidence that can be dismissed. Someone in the last video left a comment saying, no, they invaded somewhere from the east, blah, blah, blah. Well, look, you can feel free to ignore my evidence, but that would just put you in the category of people who are just relying on mythology rather than, interpreting reality. So I just wanted to tell you that. So, have a wonderful time. Just have a brilliant time, people, basically. All right, see you, bye.